Fernando in London today with Alissa Gluz. Thank you very much to be with us.
Thank you for coming.
So last few years you have been very extremely packed for you guys. You tour around the world, release a fantastic live DVD as well, and now gearing up for the new album, Will to Power. So how is the feeling on Arcanomy camp?
It's great. We're all really excited. We've been working really hard this year. Like you said, we had As the Stages Burn come out earlier this year, which was our live DVD. And then we just completed our next album, which is called Will to Power. So we've been working really, really hard on those two things, also doing some shows here and there, doing a couple festivals, and we're just gearing up now basically to start the next cycle for Arch Enemy, which is the Will to Power cycle. So it's going to be even more busy, which is great. So yeah, we're all you know, we've been working really hard, and I think like we poured a lot of energy and a lot of our heart and mind into this album, and we're just really happy that we have it complete now, and we're just really excited to share it with the world, basically. Yeah.
So having been active for the last 2 decades and a half now, and still getting out very high quality metal, it must be quite challenging. The trend nowadays in the metal scene have changed over the time, and yet Arcanomy have stayed true to their roots. The new album, Will to Power, proves it again and clearly shows the band is firing on all cylinders. So what was the biggest challenge for you guys in this new album?
I mean, I think that one of the things that makes Arch Enemy so unique is that we're, you know, 5 musicians that are all super self-critical but also super driven. And so we always have to outdo ourselves, you know. We never settle for this is good enough. It always has to be amazing, because that's the kind of music we would want to listen to, and that's the kind of music we want to give to other people. And so because we have like such a solid team of like all 5 of us doing that, I think it makes it so that we're able to work really well with one another, and we're able to sort of continually release music that's timeless in a way. You know, we don't follow trends. I don't even think we set trends. We just do our own thing, you know? We just do what we love, and that's what Arch Enemy sounds like. And I think that maybe for this album the biggest challenge was just to not focus too much on like trying to outdo War Eternal or anything like that, because I mean, even still for me, I think War Eternal is like, if I'm allowed to say it, like for me it's a masterpiece, you know? Even if somebody else released that album, I would be like, yeah, that's a killer album, you know? Not even just because it's my album, you know, I just really love those songs. And so, you know, we didn't want to go in and be like, okay, we have to make something that's better than War Eternal. It was just like, are we ready? Do we have songs in our heads? Do we have ideas in our hearts, you know, or do we have this music in our blood? And when the answer was yes to all of that, then we went in and started writing and recording. And so yeah, it was an interesting process, and I think that it's an interesting album. Yeah.
Talking about the beauty of Arcanomy lies as well on the power of the riffs. The mighty riff you bring in every single album, be it The Race, Blood in the Water, or Murder Scene. I love how the band has balanced brutality with melody. That's the signature of Arcanomy, I think, on a way of writing songs. So what was the mindset this time compared to War Eternal?
I mean, a lot of the, like, Michael Amott is the sort of like brain behind the whole band, you know, so it all starts and ends with Michael. And a lot of those riffs that you would sing along to live, they're all Michael's doing, you know. It's Michael who writes those riffs and who delivers them with his like signature style, you know. You can always tell when it's Michael playing something. Even if he's playing somebody else's song, you can hear when it's Michael playing it. And so yeah, I mean, I think it's just, you know, what we're feeling, like we just sort of like write directly from the heart. So I don't think we set out to, we didn't say like, oh, we're gonna make it sound like this or sound like that. It was just however it feels right. You know, Michael's musicianship speaks for itself, so I like totally trust anything that he, you know, if he's like, oh, I have this great idea, I just know it's gonna be good. Like, I don't even, before I even hear it, I know it's gonna be good. So yeah, I think that the guitars in Arch Enemy are obviously like a huge part of the band, and that's what a lot of people love listening to in Arch Enemy, and me included. So I think it's cool that we're actually able to have that, you know, where like maybe not all bands have that, where you can play a show and the audience will be like singing with the guitar. So that's pretty cool, and I love when the audience does that. They just sing along with what the guitar is playing, you know. It makes for a very melodic show, actually.
So now, when Wani spoke to you during the War Eternal release, You guys wanted to write a signature Arch Enemy album in order to introduce you to the metal world as a new singer in a band. So on the new album you have Cross Boundaries, be it the fabulous keyboard part of the album or few clear vocals moment as well. On The Eagle Flies Alone or Twisted Sound like Dreams of Retribution. So as you say, and I'm sure that you guys didn't want to write another War Eternal.
Yeah, I mean, I think we, we took some risks with the album, I guess. We just felt like it's the 10th studio album for Arch Enemy. That's not including any other than studio releases, So Arch Enemy has released a ton of stuff over the decades, but just in terms of actual albums, this is the 10th one, And so I feel like we were all like, well, we've earned the right to, like, go outside of the box a little bit here, So that's I think why some of the songs you mentioned, like Reason to Believe or Dreams of Retribution, came about. And, we're just not afraid, because we believe in the music so much that we're just going into it totally fearless. And I love it. I love every single song on this album. So I think that another thing that makes this album really unique and interesting is that there are some different sounding things on there. It's like some things that maybe you wouldn't think were Arch Enemy at first. But the more you listen to it, the more you can hear that it definitely is Arch Enemy. And I feel like with every listen, it gets like you hear more little things and you understand the lyrics a bit more, and it gets deeper and deeper. So yeah.
Reason to Believe is another lovely surprise and a good one. I love your fabulous clean vocals mix your brutal side.
Thank you.
So these songs may have a mixed reaction from the fans. Yeah, I really like to see this song live, really, of one of your sets. So I see you have an orchestra on the last track, The Fight I Must Win. Sounds massive, and I wish you had used a bit more in the album now. What inspired the band to have an orchestra on this album?
We actually had an orchestra on War Eternal also, which you can hear in like Avalanche or You Will Know My Name. And so it's the same people, the same orchestra this time around, which is just actually somebody that Michael knows, and in Sweden. And Michael just had like an idea for a certain type of arrangement, and he communicated that idea to that arranger. And then, because when I was working on my parts for A Fight I Must Win, there was no orchestra there yet. And so then when I heard the orchestra come in, I was like, oh my God, this just brought this song even more to life. And I love it as the last song on the album. I love how it closes off the album. It just feels very disturbing yet peaceful, I guess, which is maybe like a good mood for the entire album. So I really love the sound of a real orchestra, and I know probably a lot of people can, but like I can really hear if it's a keyboard or if it's a real orchestra, and I just feel like there's such a cool feeling to that real acoustic sound of an orchestra. So we try to use it tastefully, because obviously we don't tour with an orchestra, so we don't want to have any songs that are like really based on it, because still we need to be able to play these live. So I think we just try to, drop it into the album here and there tastefully, and yeah, it just adds like another sort of like timeless layer to the song. Yeah.
Can we expect any more of that in the future albums?
I hope so. I mean, it's hard to say what the future holds at this point, because we just finished Will to Power, but I love that stuff, and I know that all of us do, actually. And even Daniel, actually, is pretty good at like composing sort of like cinematic sounding orchestration type stuff on the computer. So yeah, I don't know, I think that's just like another sort of tool in the toolkit that we could use.
Now, I'm sure you're aware that the fans are looking forward to hear twin guitars attack of Amot and Jeff. So we interviewed him in India earlier this year, and he said there was some riff that he wrote for the record. So could you tell us what Jeff contributes on this album?
I mean, Jeff is such a great guitar player, and he's such a great dude. But anyway, so live, Jeff obviously contributes by playing, up until now anyways, he was playing the solos that Chris Amott had played on the albums, or that Nick Cordell had played on the album. So he's playing, obviously, the sort of complementary guitar to Michael's guitar playing. And now in this album, his solos are just like so Jeff Loomis and like so good, and I feel like they just balance Michael's guitar playing style super well. So yeah, I mean, Jeff's a huge part of the album. I think that people will hear that too, they'll be able to like hear his influence in the album. And when it comes down to it, Michael is the primary songwriter, and that's still true now, but I think it's like it sounds different, and you can like definitely hear where Jeff is in the album. Yeah.
On each and every song, the guitar solos are creative and easily the highlight on the album. with Jeff presence. I've seen you guys many times live now, and the twin guitar magic is alive and kicking, and that's easily the strength of Academy studio and also live side. Do you know how did they both plan the solos on the album?
It's funny because when I was recording my vocals on the album, the guitar solos weren't there yet, and so but still when I go to write the lyrics, I would be like, you know, talking to Michael, and I'd be like, okay, so obviously there's going to be a Jeff solo here, right? Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to put vocals here, and then there's going to be your solo here, right? And like, you know, we just know ahead of time, like, it feels like there's got to be a Jeff solo here, and it feels like there's got to be an Amott solo here, and so, you know, the solos just make the songs come to life that much more. So, you know, I got used to hearing the songs without them, and then when I heard them with the solos on, I was just like, oh, amazing, sounds so good. So yeah, I mean, the fact that it's two very different kinds of guitar players, but they sort of like work very harmoniously is really nice to listen to.
Now, could you tell us about the touring plan for this record?
Yeah, so we're obviously doing a promo tour now just to let everybody know that the album is going to be coming out. And Will to Power does come out in September, early September, the 8th in Europe. And from that point, we're just going to be touring non-stop, basically. So we're going to be announcing more and more tours as we get closer to the days. But as of right now, we have a bunch of festivals we're going to be doing in July, August, and September. And we're doing a headline tour in September. And we have even more tours getting sort of solidified now, leading all the way into 2018. And I mean, War Eternal kept us on the road for like 3 solid years, so it might be that way again with Will to Power. I hope it is, because that's, you know, the more opportunities we have to play for different cities and different people, the happier everyone is. So I hope we can reach everybody, including places we didn't get to play on War Eternal, like Australia, for example. Yeah.
Perfect. Could you describe the sound of Will to Power in one sentence?
Oof. Sound of Will to Power. It's brutal, fast, heavy, emotional, and interesting, I think. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.